What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the WRC West Coast YouTube channel. This is going to be episode number 2 of the RTXE E Truggy build. I'm going to do bags 7 through 10 today. I got to step it up as the TMR AMA challenge is coming up quick. I got a lot of stuff to work on this week. I've been under the weather. I'm feeling a lot better. So yeah, I'm going to go at it hot and heavy here to try to get this thing caught up and ready. So let me get to it. All right, so in the interest of saving time, I went ahead and opened up bag number 7 and kind of sorted everything out so I can hurry up and get started. So for this step, bag 7, I'm going to need the front clip that I assembled in episode 1. And this is going to start with installation of the sway bar. So to get started, the sway bar comes with these 2 pieces. This is the back plate that kind of goes, right up here against the diff housing. Kind of snaps into place. I wouldn't call it, it doesn't like snap or click, but it does set in there, and will stay there until you're ready to put it in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these sway bar end links right here. I've pointed out in other videos that I've done before. What I try to do, or what you should do, so you can see here, this is one side of the link, and if you turn it over, it's kind of a little bit glossier on this side. That's where the part came out of the mold, and that's where you should try to press in your end links there. So they'll go in the other side, but they're just going to be a tighter fit, and you might have some binding in some cases, so it's better just to always go with the glossier end. You're also going to want to make sure that you take note that when you install the links, there's 2 different types, and I'll show you here in a second. So you got, this one here that's got, there we go. It's got a ball end on it, and then a place for a grub screw. That's where the sway bar is gonna pass through there, and that's how you can lock it down and make adjustments. And then you have this one here, which is kind of like shape of a barrel. It's pretty much a ball end, and it's pretty much the same on both sides. And that's just gonna be where the bolt will go through, or the screw will go through, that will attach the sway bar link to the lower arm. So you want to make sure you take note of that and don't install both of them on the same side. And let me locate the end here. Sorry about that. Also, it's a good idea to get yourself a good set of shock pliers. Most of the shock pliers also have a tool that are perfect for pressing in end links. So I got the first one here. So on the top one, you're going to want to put this one here. That's got the collar where the sway bar will pass through. You're going to want to face that towards the inside. So you kind of set it like so. You kind of hear it clip in there. Snaps in there, and then you'll see that it pretty much moves and articulates perfectly. If it's got binding on it, you're going to want to definitely check that out, because you do not want this to be binding, because that's where the sway bar is going to be articulating, and you definitely don't want any sort of binding, because it will affect your suspension and the feel of the car. It's not what you want. And then the other one kind of clips right into there. So I'm going to hurry up and do this other one. So for right now, I'm just gonna put these through the holes on the bottom here, just to let it pass through. Sorry, I can't probably see that, but there we go. I'm not gonna tighten them right now. I'm just using them to hold the sway bar links in place. There we go. All right. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take the cap, and there's a kind of see it, but there is like there's a W there. So obviously you're gonna want to face that up. I don't think it'll make much of a difference, but that's just the way I'm gonna do it. And I'm just gonna line it up here, and then just use my driver on a really, really low setting. You don't want to strip this one for sure. Little set screws you're going to put in here, right there and there. So that's where your adjustment's going to be, because you see right now, like, it fully articulates. One thing I haven't tried yet, that we have on order, is the optional sway bar mount and collar, or it's got like 2 collars on the outside and it's got a ball bearing mount. But we haven't really seen any issues with the sway bar, so we're going to try it anyway. Yeah, that's just something to throw out there. It is available. You can get it through WIRC.com, or you can get it through us. All right, so once you get, those 4 screws in there, you're ready to start setting the sway bar. And this is the way I was taught to do it, to make sure that your sway bar is as free as possible. So what I'll do is I'll start threading it in to the hole. Before I do that, I'll kind of pop it out of there for this next part. And then I'll go back, start turning it. And you see how like it's moving freely. Then I'll keep turning and moving the sway bar until it stops moving. All the while trying to keep it centered too, right? Since it doesn't have those collars, and that's probably the best part about the optional sway bar mount, is that it has the collars to keep it centered. So you're gonna have to kind of keep an eye on that. But see right here where it kind of like doesn't drop anymore unless you move it. What I'll do is I'll just back it out like slowly until it drops on its own. Right there, you see how it dropped on its own, and then I'll usually go like back like 1 more quarter turn. So it keeps it, in place, but it does limit the travel. Sorry, my voice is cracking there. I'm still recovering. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Alright, feels good there. Okay, and then I'm gonna turn these around. Right. So for this one, I'll also go on the lower torque setting. I'll do usually like 2. And I'll just start tightening it until it just starts to get tight, and then I'll stop, and then I'll do it the rest of the way hand tighten. Articulating well, and we're gonna, there we go. Okay, and now the next part is gonna be the set screws to set the sway bar. These little guys right here. Yeah, so the manual doesn't tell you like how far the sway bar should be protruding outside of the link. So I'm gonna set it the way I usually run it, and then I'll go and adjust from there. I don't put thread locker on these either. I've never had one go loose. And they're so small that thread locker would just make it a pain in the butt and cause it to strip next time, if and when you wanted to make an adjustment. So yeah, so also what I'm gonna do, well, first let me show you. Pretty much what I do is I set it about as neutral as I can get it. You can't really tell, sorry, but from the top you can't see it protruding, but it's pretty much just trying to sit flush with the link. That's what I call being as neutral as you can with it. And I will position these collars at an angle. So picture the the body being on it, and you're looking down on it. You want to be able to get to these and make an adjustment without having to take the body off, yeah, you're also you're gonna have a big fat tire right here, so you want to kind of try to position them to where you can get to them. So I'll kind of, maybe go like at a 45-degree angle from here, from like if you're looking at it straight ahead, and then I'll just snug it, and that's pretty much it. And I'll do the same thing for this side. Yeah, same thing on that one. Snug it up. And yeah, so now if you kind of go up, you see how the sway bar is doing its thing, right? Everything's still moving freely. Okay. All right. All right, so that's pretty much the first part of bag number 7. The next part is going to be, we're going to be attaching the the shock tower, the upper arms, the steering brace, and the upper hinge pins. So like I said, I already got those parts already squared away here. You got the 2 hinge pins, you got the upper arm holder, arm brace, and you got the steering brace here, and I got the shock tower. So let me turn this thing around here. And first thing I guess I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach this sway bar, and they have it facing forward with the WIRC branding and part number facing forward. And you're gonna get these M3x12s, and we're gonna go to work. Do this bottom one. Again, I'll go in most of the way, loop the gun until they kind of go, until you start feeling them gonna like bottom out, and then that's when I'll stop. One there, and one there, top. And then I will just finish them off by hand. All right, and let's see where we're at. We're gonna get the body mount. Same thing. It's got that little pin there, and it's gonna get keyed into this hole right here. These 2 holes here. So obviously the bottom one goes in first. And it's a really tight fit, and I guess it's doing that for, sorry, it's out of focus. It's a tight fit on purpose, just so that you get like the most amount of support. And considering this is a Truggy, and they're violent and heavy, and you want to make sure you have good body mounts, and it's always a plus, because I've owned cars where the body mounts are just like very weak, and you have to modify them sometimes to make them super stout. But these are pretty stout. I mean, with the arms, you get these shims right here. So they get these 2 that were attached to the arms, and then you get like these thinner ones here. So yeah, I should have trimmed these off already to save time. They're kind of small, actually. Yeah, there's not enough room. I'm not going to use the flash cutter because they're really soft and they don't really give you a lot of room. If I try to use a flash cutter, I'd probably damage it more. So yeah, actually these are all pretty much the same. The ones that were on the arms, you could tell the difference, right? So on the manual, they show you that you stack the skinnier of the 2 on the front, then the arm, and then you're gonna have the thicker one on the back. So we're gonna go with that because that's what the manual states. I gotta check with Andrew Morales. He's the one that's been running the Truggy extensively, and I gotta see what setup he's doing, because he's got that thing on rails right now. That thing rotates like crazy. So let me get going here. So you're gonna use pills from from the previous bags, and they're telling us to use the middle position, but it's going to be, I think, yeah, these right here. Excuse me. All right, so you're going to want these like ears facing upward, and this little indentation, you have it on both sides, but obviously you want these right here with these little recesses, you want them facing the back. Man, I'm really sorry, I'm losing my voice here. Hope I can finish this video. But yeah, you want these recesses facing the back. So also with the steering brace, you see how it's, you know, it's a really nice carbon fiber unit, but it's got these inserts here. Make sure that these inserts are mounted downward, because they are the ones that where the steering posts are going to sit. We're going to go ahead and attach this piece right here, and if you notice, oh, it goes right here, it lines up with the holes. All right, so, and this little piece here is threaded for the screws that you're going to insert, which are going to be M3x8s. So they're these little guys right here. All right, and it's going into an aluminum piece. I don't think these have backed out, but you know what, let's just do this right. I'm gonna go ahead and put a dab of thread locker on there, because it's a, you know, hand tighten those. It's nice when you use brand new MIP tools, man. They don't let go. I'm just gonna clean it up here, wipe off any excess. Any excess I might have gotten pushed out the other end. Okay. All right, so now that we got the top brace mounted up and ready, we're gonna mount the rest of the assembly, which are the upper arms, the hinge pins, and then those shims. So you're going to want to mount them where these little W's here for the WIRC are facing forward. I should take that back. Yeah, right. Like that. Yeah, like that. And like that. Right, so these W's are facing forward. This is the kind of, not so, I don't want to say it's tricky, but it's, you know, you're going to have to pre-mount the hinge pins on the brace, mount the arms, and then you're gonna line up to the two pills that you need to install on the shock tower that are also in the middle position. Right, so we're gonna go like this, and then these two ears here are gonna sit on these little shelves right there. So it's kind of like a completed assembly right here, and you just kind of pinch it forward, and then we're gonna take these M3x12 and we're gonna thread them into the top of the housing. It's a pretty hard bulkhead right there, so that's why I have it set like on the lowest torque setting, and I'll just drive them until they click, and then I'll just hand tighten. This is a pretty stout piece on top. There's a lot of load on it. Okay. Obviously, you see there's a ton of play on them, because now this is where you install the shims. So the manual is illustrating that the thickest of the shims is on the bottom or in the back, facing the back of the Truggy. So we'll snap those in there, and then we'll scoot them back, and then we'll install these other ones. I guess I probably could have installed them on the hinge pins before I slid it into the shock tower, but they're really not that hard. And now pretty much you have very little play. So And then obviously if you want to remove them, you just kind of get like a little pick and pull on them from that little hole there. And those are obviously different tuning options. You can put them thicker one in the front, the skinnier ones in the rear. And you also see that there's an offset there, and that's going to be because you're going to have your caster built into the pillow balls. So okay, so that's the step for bag number 7. So that pretty much wraps that up. Now we're going to move over to bag number 8, which is going to be assembly of the front hubs and the pillow balls and whatnot. So let me get this thing unwrapped and everything laid out here, and I'll be right back. All right, so I got everything laid out here for bag number 8. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get started on the outdrive for the for the front end of the truck, or the Truggy. So it's going to be similar to the process that we did on the on the rear, where you kind of slip the pin in, but this one's not going to have that clock spring. This is actually just going to use a pin, and then it's going to be held in by you gotta kind of just wiggle it a little bit. There we go, and it goes in, and it sits flush, right? So yeah, it's gonna, it's a pretty good fit where it's not gonna fall out, but just be aware of it. Make sure you don't drop it and you didn't see it. And then another thing I want to point out about the front hubs or the caster blocks, is that these are also left or right. You just flip them over. That's why you see that they have like the shelving for the steering levers on either side, so you don't have to have a right and a left, and then you get stuck with a bunch of rights or a bunch of lefts. So so in this case, we're going to use this one here, and I'm gonna press in the 15 by 21 by 4 bearing, and then you have this flange bearing on the other side. It's an 8 by 16 by 5, I think it is. And you're gonna press that in there, and then that's why these aren't going to have a clock spring, because when you push it through the bore here, you're going to see that the pin gets captured, right? So as long as you don't lose this pin here, which we're going to review, or we're going to cover how you make sure that doesn't happen. And let me get my brake cleaner. So you got to have these grub screws that are pretty stout little pieces here, and I'm going to go off camera here and spray them with some brake cleaner. Just wipe them down. Obviously anytime you're going to have thread locker applied to a bolt, you want to make sure that you spray it down for any contaminants, especially the bolts and the hardware, because obviously they have like a lot of lubricant from the machining process. So I'm gonna get some thread locker on that. So yeah, going back to this, like if you don't clean them off, the chances that you're gonna have, it's gonna be contaminated, and you're not gonna get a good, I guess you want to call it a good solid set of the brake cleaner. Of the Loctite. Excuse me. All right. So now we're gonna slip it back through. The pin's captured. We got thread locker on there, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the hub, which is the standard width. They also offer a +1 and a +2 mil. So you're gonna want to line up these two holes here, right? You kind of want to hold it in place, and then you get this thicker pin. And slide it through. Same thing, you want to make sure that it's flush on both sides. Oh, let me get a drink of water here. Sorry, guys. Oh man, this voice is really killing me right now. Keep losing it. So once you make sure the pin's in there and it's flush and it's not protruding unevenly on either side, Then you're gonna go ahead and thread in this grub screw. What I do is I usually thread it by hand until it stops, and then I'll back it out and then back in, just to make sure you get thread lock on all the threads, and then snug it, and then get yourself a wheel wrench that's got the hex fitting, or the hex opening here for this particular purpose, like so it kind of holds it in place, so you can really torque on it. You want to torque on it pretty hard, not too hard, because you obviously don't want to break your tool, but torque on it until you feel good, get solid. Like you'll feel it like turn just a little bit more, and there. Now you got a good solid bond. Once it dries, the Loctite will keep this pin on here, and obviously keep that seated so that you don't lose that pin. So this is kind of crucial, because if you get this wrong, this will come loose. You'll lose. You may or may not lose the pin. Depends on what kind of wheels you run. Sometimes the wheels will capture. We'll capture the pin, but in some cases you might not, and you'll lose it. And obviously your wheel come flying off, and that'll be pretty embarrassing. So then what we're going to do is we're going to get the steering levers that are also carbon fiber. These are the standards, the originals, and they offer, I think, a +3 mil or something like that. The +3 is optional. This is the standard one. Sorry, I'm getting confused here. So there's one that's considerably bigger. That's also available online, and then you're gonna see here how it's got that little shelf right there, that little step there. If you look on here, it's got the opposite side, right? So I guess if you call it like a male and female thing, that just makes sure that you seat it correctly, and when you do that, then the holes are lined up perfectly, right? And then you're gonna use these two N3x12s, and you're just gonna drive them in. Whoop. Yep. And like that. And I'll just snug them. These are also under a tremendous amount of stress, I think, especially when the truck's, you're leaning into a turn. These things are really getting torqued on, but we haven't had any issues with them. All right, and now we're gonna get to the fun part, which is mounting the pillow balls, or threading in the pillow balls into the arms, right? So let's see, this one will be the right hand side, so get started on this side. Sorry, so yeah, so go right, and we'll all right, so first things first, we're going to start with the bottom pillow ball, which is going to be the steel one, and you're going to get your 2.5, and you're going to stick it into the socket there. There's a 2.5 hex in there, right? Leave a little opening. Man, these tools are too good. Just got that little opening there. You're gonna want to put it where this recess is facing in, or out, I should say. Yeah, let's try to like hold it in place and tighten it in. Obviously, the included camber, I guess you want to call it like camber bushing or washer, if you want to call it that. I guess it would be a washer. This is standard, and then they have a -1 and a -2 optional millimeter. Let's try that again. There's an optional 1 and 2 millimeter -1, -2 millimeter camber bushing, and the one that's included is a 1.5. So yeah, so now you know that the factory includes a 1.5 camber, and yeah, you can get the optional units if you want to, and that's how you tune a pillow ball for camber. You know, obviously C-hub cars, you'll have camber link that you can, you know, adjust the camber. This is just these bushings, you just loosen it, pull it out, and then drop a new one in. Okay, so now that that's in there, now we got to put it's like this I guess you could call it like a socket, a ball socket, and you'll slip it in. All right, so what I ended up doing here, and what I found the easiest way to make sure that the retaining, I guess, collar, if you want to call it that, I don't know what this part's called exactly, but the easiest way to get this to go into the housing straight, I found, is by, obviously this goes in first, right? And then I found that getting like a pair of tweezers and just putting them into this hole right, these holes right here, kind of gives you enough grip to kind of start it, and you can start, you know, turning it, and it lets you kind of take a look at it when you're putting it in. That's like the best way that I found to do it. So I got this one done already, so I'm gonna swap it or turn around and do the other side, and then I'll show you what I mean on this side. So I'm just gonna fast forward through this part because it's a lot of the same processes that I saw, or that I already showed you. Alright, so see how I put the tweezers into the holes that are on the on the collar, and you just start turning, and you can right away, you feel it grab, and it's, you can see it's going in straight. Whereas if I didn't do that, it would have been, it has a tendency to want to go in cockeyed or crooked, and that's just going to create all kinds of problems later. So I found that was the best way to do it. So yeah, if you got a pair of tweezers, or you can sneak them away from your wife, you know, it makes it for a much easier process. And yeah, that one kind of, this is, the bottom one's a lot easier because it's more of like a flat plane. You're not dealing with a whole lot of angle. See, you can even see this one here started kind of going kind of crooked, so you have to, like, there we go. Now it's going straight. Get my 6.5. Start turning. And I'll kind of try to turn them in equal amount of turns. All right, and then I'll check it to make sure. See right there, it's already kind of stiff. So I think that's already too far. So I'll back it out a half on each one. And it looks like we're back. Yeah, so I think that's good. And then you can see there's a little bit of play. This one doesn't have quite enough nut that I like, so I'm gonna back it out a little bit more. And there we go. So you got some flex, you know, I call that flexion. But yeah, so they both turn super free. So now I'm gonna do is turn it around and install the steering lever. Kind of lift that into the last minute. Right there, ladies and gentlemen, is bag number 8. We got a front clip. Yeah, so now I'm going to move on to bag number 9, which is going to be the rear. Putting the rear arms on there. So yeah, let me get to that. spacers that go for the rear camber links. Move this out of the way. Give you a little bit more room. And this is all the components for the rear sway bar. The rear clip, and we're gonna get on the tree here and see what shims we're gonna use. I believe I use 1.5s in the front, so I'm gonna use the 1.5s in the rear as well. And see, this is the D block, and I believe here's the C block. Okay, so the C block is going to have a middle arm position as well. So I gotta find those right here. So the D block's gonna go down. So same thing with these. Down. A blocks or C blocks gonna go middle. Okay. Okay, so like I said in episode 1, I just insert the droop screws in partially, and then once I get the truck ready to take to the track, I will set the final ride height and droop settings and all that. So for now, I just put them in there, kind of eyeball based on where I normally use them, and then I'll make final adjustments when I get the truck sit on its own weight and whatever. So all right, so that part's done. All right, so getting ready to put the rear sway bar on. I've already inserted the sway bar links and just inserted the screws to hold them in place. They're not tightened down yet, and yeah, I'm gonna follow that same procedure that I showed you for bag number 7, which is putting in the back plate. Okay, so there we go. Sway bars in. Everything's working really smooth right now. And now we're gonna go on to bag number 10, which is the rear hubs. So let me get that going here. Excuse me. Man, I feel horrible. Sometimes I think I should have just waited to do this when I felt better, but I don't have the luxury of time. I definitely want to run this Truggy at TNR main, and yeah, time just got away from me, and with so much stuff going on with my day job, yeah, this kind of got put on the back burner, and then I got sick, so now I gotta play kind of catch up. So we got our left and our right side done, and now we're gonna move down to attaching these to the truck. So the left and the right, you got our right side, and the way it works is you got this shaft here. It's threaded on the front, and that's where these washers are going to come in, or these spacers I should say. And yeah, the manual's got them in the back. So the manual's showing we're going to mount on the lower, so we're going to be up. I'm going to go ahead and drop them to the bottom because with our testing so far with the Truggy, it definitely handled better and all around handled and just looked better when we went lower. So yeah, so the manual says to put it here. I'm gonna go ahead and put it here now because that's where I know for a fact the Truggy likes it. A lot better, a lot smoother. And you know, this Truggy's being so big, I definitely want them to be as nimble as possible. These things are super nimble, and I think a lot of that is, you know, the testing that we've done with the with the positions of the rear hubs. Anyway, all right, well, that backs up bag number 10. I was gonna stop there, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and do bag number 11 as well, which is going to be the rear camber links. So let me get those unpacked here, and I'll be right back. All right, so I got everything laid out for bag number 11, which is going to be assembly of the camber links and the wing support for the rear. So one thing I'm not going to do that's part of bag 11 are the rear mud guards. So yeah, one of the good things about this kit, that from the factory, they come with titanium camber links, and I mean that's great because it's not something that you're gonna have to go and upgrade. Usually that's like an option part for other kits or other brands, and that's fine. That's smart business, right? But my thing is, if you're gonna end up doing it anyway, you might as well just include them and then price the kit accordingly. So, you know, that's just my 2 cents, you know, whatever that's worth. So one thing to note on these camber links when you install them, first let me flip this around to how it's shown in the manual, is that the camber links, obviously the ends, you see there's one that's a straight and there's one that's got a curve. So the one that's got the curve facing up is going to be facing the outside of the truck, and the straight obviously on the inside, because it's just, you know, easier that way. And now I'm gonna put my camber link wrench. I think this is the one that works. Yep. All right. One thing I like to do as well, and that's pretty standard, I think, is I'll take my body reamer and just lightly, you know, I guess like chamfer, I guess you want to say, the link, or the end link, to make starting of the threading a little easier. Not a whole lot, just enough to where you create like a chamfer. Because if you look at these, they're kind of like, they're flat. So if you have like a kind of like a chamfered edge, it seems to make inserting them a little easier. Anyway, so like I said before, the one with the curve facing out and up is going to be the outside of the truck. And then if you notice, the link has a really long portion and the shorter part. And the shorter part is going to be facing the outside, right? All right, so those are done. Now we're gonna mount them up. So we're gonna use these M3x28, and you're gonna use these aluminum shims or spacers, and you're gonna use 2 of these nylon lock nut. All right. So on the inside link, we're going to be going on the second hole, on the inside row, second hole from the top. Go in through there, second hole from the top, and I'm just going to thread it by hand for now. Just get everything locked in. And on the outside, we're gonna go on the middle hole, and it shows that this spacer goes in the back. This one I kind of hand tighten. Make sure we get good deflection there. And this one's been a little tricky for me, setup wise. I don't know why I've had a problem with this particular one being freed up enough. This is actually pretty good. So yeah, it's got the nylon lock nut, so looks like we're good there. And now next up is we're going to do the rear wing support, which is in this bag right here. So for this, there's two positions that you can select for the wing mount. So there's 3 holes on each side. You can go with the high position or the low position. So for the manual, it starts with the high position, and that's where we have it now, and that's what kind of think we've had the most success. So yeah, I think that's where we're gonna leave it. So we're gonna use these M3x16 button heads. They're gonna go in through the back, right? And that's where these little recessors are gonna come into play, because that's what's gonna be holding the nylon lock nut on the back. So all right, so well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. That right there is the rear clip, and that's the end of bag number 11, and gonna wrap up this video. So kind of show you what we all did today. Let me see, we got a front and a front and rear clip. Everything's gone super smooth. I know the video doesn't seem like it, and I apologize for that. This is not my best work, but again, I appreciate everybody sticking it out and being interested in this build. It's gonna get really good once we start getting to the end here, and looking forward to getting this thing out on the track. Yeah, again, thanks to everybody for the continued support, the feedback. Like I said just now, everybody's really excited about this one. They want to see how it turns out, and we're hoping that this generates some excitement for the excuse me, for the WIRC brand, and more importantly, the E Truggy, being that that's a class that's getting more and more popular. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this thing up here. Hoping to get this video out in the next day or so. And yeah, we're almost there. We are almost to the TNR AMA challenge. Once again, I want to thank everybody. Remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you'd like to see. And quick reminder that, like I said, we are now an authorized dealer for WIRC P1 and Havris. This is a shipment of fresh shock fluid and diff fluids. Got a lot of Truggy parts that came in. We got some more coming in, some more engines coming in, and yeah, we're generating a buzz. That's what we want. And yeah, so let me wrap it up. Say thanks again. We hope you stay tuned, keep coming back at us, and yeah, we'll see you guys out there. Thanks again, everybody, and have a great night. Thank you.